Yeah, what is going on, everybody? It's yours truly, the Ace, here with a spoiler-filled review to Fantastic Four First Steps.
Has to be us.
We will protect you.
One of my most anticipated movies of the year, so I had to assemble the Avengers. I was trying to assemble the Fantastic Four, but Frank is a little bit late. We don't even know if he's going to show up, so we're just going to rock without him. Here on this special dais, I got Zach Milne from Zach Milne Talks Movies. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, man, how's it going? I'm doing great.
Thank you for... Good. Glad to hear it. Thank you for popping back on. And my guy T is in the building from Have You Seen That with T and the Island of Relevancy. What's good, brother?
Yes, Toxic T, he's somewhere off, on vacation. It's just me today.
Nice. Oh, maybe he might show up at a certain point. We got to have some appearance from Toxic T. But I do appreciate you both for coming on for... I'm going to say it was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. What about you guys? Was it high on your list? Where did you guys have it up here as far as 2025?
I would say after Brave New World, it kind of was low on my list because I'll be totally honest, I was losing faith in Marvel. I was more anticipated for Superman, but I'm glad that this finally came out and we got a chance to see what Marvel is actually cooking.
Okay.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, I had it at number 4 most anticipated. And a lot of that just had to do with the fact that it was Marvel. The Fantastic Four were finally in their possession. We finally got a movie under the Marvel banner proper. So, yeah, that was kind of where my anticipation was mostly from. It wasn't from the love of the characters. I never really got into these characters. From the previous movies, I read a couple comics of Fantastic Four, but not very many. So a lot of my knowledge of the characters come from the previous movies we've had, and they didn't do much to endear me to these characters. So a lot of it was just based on the faith that Marvel might be correcting their ship, and I was looking forward to seeing what they did with these characters.
Got you. So my question to you is out the gate, Zach. After seeing this movie, does it pique your interest to go back and learn a little bit about the Fantastic Four and all that stuff?
Yes, but a lot of it had to do with the world that they created in this movie. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if the comics, if this world is from the comics and there's more exploration of this world in the comics. I imagine there's some iterations of the comics because, comics span decades of work. So I'm sure you can find some. But if it was in this world and this kind of vibe, then yeah, I'd be very curious to read more and explore more of this world.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. Once again, you guys have been warned if you haven't seen the movie, this is a full spoiler review. So if you haven't, dip out and then it will be posted on the main page. So feel free to come back in and check it out. So Fantastic Four, my initial reaction, I'm gonna say I love this movie. I think it's one of the best in the MCU. I think for me, I personally got it on the outskirts of my top 5. Unlike you, Zach, I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan. I was waiting for this, the first family of Marvel, for so long. And, I said this is the best Fantastic Four movie, but that bar is not really high. We got the early 2000s, which they were fine. They weren't like the worst movies ever. They were entertaining. Jessica Alba was hot in there. So, but Fan Four Stick came out, 2015. And we know this franchise 10 years later needed this reboot. And as soon as the MCU got their hands on it, I was excited. I couldn't wait for this. And they really took their time with this movie. And we finally got it out this weekend. And I have not been disappointed. Let's get you guys' initial reactions. T, what was your initial reaction and initial thoughts when leaving this movie?
When I first left the movie, I want to say my initial reaction was it was the best MCU movie since No Way Home for me. I love the stakes. I love the family element. I just love the drama aspect of it. It wasn't, over the top bombastic action throughout the movie, but I don't think their power set really leans into the action too much because as you saw with the 90s or the 2000s Fantastic Four, like I'll be told that they have like a lame power set. So using it over and over again, watching Mr. Fantastic stretch would do nothing for me. So I'm glad that they really went with the heart aspect of the film. Me being an overly emotional movie reviewer, I got pretty emotional during some of the scenes.
Did you cry at all?
Maybe. It might,
Oh,
it
we had to
might,
guess.
that speech might have got me. That speech might have got me
Oh
twice.
yeah, that. Oh yeah, Vanessa Kirby definitely did her thing, and we'll get into that. Zach, your initial thoughts on this movie leaving the theater?
It was just awe. Like it was, I was just in awe with it. I think, like we'll get into it. It's not a perfect movie. It's got flaws like any movie does, but I was really just like impressed with what they were able to pull because the trailers looked fine. Like I enjoyed the trailers, and I had faith, like especially after the initial reactions came out from the press and everyone else who were just like, "Oh my gosh, this was actually fantastic." I'm like, did you just want to say the word fantastic to get that pun in there? Like I enjoyed the Flash, but my first or the first reactions from people in the press, I don't buy into them as much as I used to after the Flash, and they were all saying it was the greatest comic book movie ever made. It definitely was not, but I still liked it. So I went in a little bit hesitant of like, okay, these first reactions were off the wall fantastic, but what are we really going to get here? And it was indeed fantastic. I was just I walked out just in awe of what I watched.
Yeah, yeah, myself as well. Like right out the gate within the first 10 minutes, I was already hooked. I had a big smile on my face. This future retro futuristic world that they thrust us in, and it feels like we're already a part of it because immediately, like I called the news position that we got, it catches us up on the characters previous adventures and the public perception of the Fantastic Four, because they are known characters, they are beloved in this universe, like, and they do a good job throughout the course of this, especially with Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, as making not just the general population in the movie, but us also feel like family. So we're thrust right into this world that's like unique. It has its own style. Like I'm curious to explore it, all that stuff. Like that vibe absolutely works for me. T, how did that vibe work for you when it comes to just the aesthetic of the movie?
It definitely worked for me as well. As far as the news report showing everyone, the thank you Fantastic Four, and everyone loves them. And just like Ben Grimm walking down the street, the scenes where he's just in the neighborhood and everybody just loves him. Everybody respects him. They don't play him like they did in the 2000 movies, like this mopey guy, and everybody's kind of treating him like a freak. Like he's a hero. He's a superhero. He saved the world multiple times. Um, and I did like the aesthetic. I love their apartment or building. Like that was just out of this world. It was pretty dope, and how they shot Times Square, right? Like they have Times Square looking like the big boob TVs, like the you know tube screen TVs all over the place. I thought that was a nice touch. Everything worked. Like everything about this movie, from an aesthetic, visual, other than one thing, worked pretty well uh, in in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I know that one thing now. We'll
I
get
think I
into
know
that
who it
because
is
we'll
too.
talk. Yeah, we'll talk about the stuff that we didn't enjoy, that type of stuff. But what stood out to me in this movie was the color palette. Like the blue, I think worked very well and it popped on screen to the fact where it got me wanting to get one of those outfits, like no lie. But the world building within itself was just amazing. Zach, what was your take on the world that we were thrust in this Fantastic Four universe?
Oh, sorry, was that for me?
Yeah, Zach. Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
sorry. Yeah, no, I definitely, sorry, I agree. The color palette was great, and honestly, when I was watching the movie, one of the things I was thinking about was I don't want them to come into the kind of muted grayish colors of the MCU proper that we're used to. Like I usually don't complain about the cinematography of the MCU movies. I honestly think that it's fine and it kind of works for the continuity of it all. But yeah, I really did love the look of this. I thought the colors popped. And when it came to the world that they created, I thought that it was so detailed and so thought through, and I loved that it was recognizable and relatable, but just a little bit different, to the point where there were scenes where people were talking and I just wanted to look in the background. I just wanted to see what things looked like. I just wanted to see what exactly billboards were saying and all these kind of things. And it's also got me really curious to see how these characters are going to progress in the MCU when they go from being the one and only to the one of many of heroes in the proper an MCU proper timeline, so to speak. So yeah, I thought that they like just production design and art design. I thought they absolutely killed it. I think it's Oscar worthy. Like I legit think that they need to get nominated for Oscars in this one, and I think they will.
Yeah. Yeah. Earth 828 was great. Also, Easter egg within itself. That's actually Jack Kirby's birthday. So that was done
Yeah, they do that at
intentionally.
the end of
That's
the
actually,
credits. I saw that. That was cool.
yeah, the final end credit scene, nice little tribute to him as well. So that's a good touch. But this world that we're in is just like so elegant, and it's so far removed from the MCU where, like I said, I haven't felt, me personally, I haven't felt the movie this like able to stand on its own since the first Black Panther movie, where you don't need to do a bunch of homework. You don't need to watch a bunch of shows, know these characters, because immediately right out the gate, they are letting you know that this is already an established team 4 years in. That definitely was done on purpose. But 4 years in, so we're thrust right into these adventures, and it just feels very organic. And it starts with this amazing cast. Like, Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. I know a lot of people were on the fence about him because, whether you like John Krasinski or whether you just didn't think he had the look for it. But in my opinion, I thought he was a great Reed. He definitely kept the weight of the world on his shoulders while being burdened by his brilliance on top of that. I thought he did a great job. We're going to go through the entire cast, but let's go ahead and start with Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. Zach, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think that was probably the most scrutinized of the casting. People really did not like that. I didn't have a strong opinion on it. Like, Pedro Pascal, I think, is a good actor. People complain that he's in a lot of stuff, but I mean, if you're delivering good performances, I tend to not really care about that. And like I said before, I really only had the previous movies to go off of with Reed, so I wasn't too like invested in like, is this going to be comic accurate? Is this just like, I just wanted a good performance. And when I was watching Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, and I don't know if this is like what the comics are like, but it reminded me of Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. And I kind of liked how he played it. He kind of played it where he's just matter of fact. He's not too in tune with people's emotions, and he's not too in tune with like reading facial expressions and just vibes in the room, and he just kind of says it as it is, and he's very scientifically based. That I love the part in the movie where the conflict comes between him and Sue because Galactus wants Franklin, and you can see that Reed is going through mathematically and like scientifically that, hey, the best option is probably to give up the baby. That'll probably be the best odds here. And I love how he just can't get out of his head in that way. And I thought Pedro Pascal did a really great job of presenting that to the character on the screen. And I also liked that Sue was there to kind of balance him out. I think that Pedro Pascal worked because Vanessa Kirby worked as Sue.
Yeah. What about you, T? What are your thoughts on that?
I was definitely one of the people who were very skeptical when I first heard it was Pedro Pascal. Only because I didn't know how they were going to play Reed, right? What we got in the Multiverse of Madness, John Krasinski, his portrayal of Reed kind of was like a stoic, battle-tested. He's done a lot. He's probably seen a lot. Kind of like the Reed that we get in the Ultimates, the Reed that we get in a few of the later Fantastic Four, not the early Golden Age Jack Kirby stuff. And that's the Reed we got. I felt in this movie is like very Golden Age, very like in our infancy of being a Fantastic Four, very altruistic, sees the world from one particular lens, and there was a lot of weight on him. Like, and I felt like there was a lot. Reed carried a lot of weight, like he carried the weight of the world on his shoulders, and I felt that in Pedro's performance throughout the movie. Like, he was very analytical, very logical, but at the same time, like, he felt the need, like a lot of fathers do, like, man, I have to protect not only my family, but we got to protect the world because we're really the only hope. Like, there's nobody else. And I saw that a lot in Pedro's performance. And one of the best things about his performance throughout the movie was that I didn't feel like I was watching Pedro Pascal. I felt like I was watching Reed Richards, go through his progressions. which is a true testament to the character.
Yeah. Yeah, great performance by him. I got like some Tony Stark vibes from him from the Infinity Saga, where like right after Iron Man 3, where he was just feeling the burden of just trying to protect the Earth. But in this situation, it was not only just trying to protect the Earth, but also trying to keep his family together at the same time too. And the person throughout this movie, like Zach had alluded to, that really was the anchor and the glue, the emotional backbone of the Fantastic Four really was Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, who I thought did an exceptional job. Like T was saying, that one speech that she had where, everybody's on the brink, and it's sort of like the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, because like, how it is with public perception when it comes to this. They're looking at it like, you're going to sacrifice us for one person, and that could have gotten ugly. So the heart that she had to go out there and talk to the people and literally get everybody on their side, I thought was a great touch, and she put on such a great performance. Zach, what were your thoughts on Vanessa Kirby?
Yeah, you kind of nailed it for me there, where I thought she was good all throughout the movie. I really liked her performance. At the beginning of the movie, I was feeling a little bit like, is she just here to be pregnant? Like, she's good. Like, Sue Storm was great at the beginning, but I was kind of like, is she just kind of here to be the one that carries the MacGuffin around, And then it was that speech where she went out and she addressed the mob head on. And I loved where she was like, she says, I might be paraphrasing here, but she says, I won't give up the world for my baby, I won't give up my baby for the world, but I won't give up the world for my baby. And up until that point, I was like, I like this character. But when that speech came, I was like, I love this character. I love her. She is a strong woman in the sense that like a strong woman should be. And I thought that Vanessa Kirby brought so much of that to the film. And I mean, it's not a high bar like we kind of mentioned with the movies, but the best Sue Storm I think we've ever seen on screen.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you hit it right in the head. Just like I said, it was fitting that, this movie's titled First Steps. And then, a big focus was her first steps into motherhood. A lot of good maternal moments as well that definitely held the team together. T, your thoughts on Vanessa Kirby as Sue?
She was for sure my favorite part of the movie. There were like little things. There were scenes with her, Johnny, Ben. The scene where everybody found out she's pregnant. Her facial expression in that scene, like the joy, like she glowed, like she had a mother's glow. Like if you Zach, your wife was pregnant. When my wife was pregnant with my daughter, like she had, and I've always said that she had this glow. Like I remember when my sister was pregnant with my nephew, like they just, their skin is a little different. They feel a little different. She had that, like she had that presence throughout the movie while she was pregnant. The giving birth scene, other than the creepy CGI hand, that was like such a great scene because, like, I mean, you it on so many different levels that scene worked. Her giving birth, her turning invisible, that was another like thing that she did in the movie in some tense moments. That really worked well for me. I just thought she really held the family down. She was the matriarch of the family, and she did balance Reed out. He was very logical. In the scene where they're arguing at the table, where Reed doesn't say it, he kept saying, That's not what I'm saying. Like, that is what you're saying." And her facial expression in that scene was just like, I mean, I've probably seen that from my wife at times when when we're having an argument. It's like, man, that face, like I think almost every husband knows that face from his wife. And it was just like, man, she was so taken aback by that. But at the same time, she understood him because they're married. And she has that one thing where she says, the things I can't remember exactly what she said to Reed, but she was like, those things is like the things that I really hate about you. You're mine. Like talking about when he's talking about using a baby as bait, like because he, boy, they use that kid for a lot of different things throughout the movie.
Yeah. That face that you were talking about was funny though. Like that was the you're in the doghouse, you're gonna sleep on the couch type face. So
Yes.
every husband
Yes.
knows what that is. So let's go ahead and move on to the uncles. We'll go ahead and package them in together. Johnny Storm and the Thing. Um, both really good performances by Joseph Quinn and Ebon Moss Backrack. I finally got his name right. I keep saying Bacharach. But great performances by them. What I love the most is about these two characters, we didn't have, because this team is already established and we're 4 years in, you don't have to go through the same rivalry dynamic of them butting heads. We got to see a lot more of the brotherly bond within them and the sacrifices that they would make. The awareness of thing like Tati was talking about. When Vanessa Kirby came in, he's very observant. He knows, he's looking right at her, and he can tell not just by her expression, but how his best friend is nervous as hell, and he immediately knows it. And it just, those two like held it down. I think Zach said it, and I also said it on my review. This team works because all four parts work as a whole. Like if you remove one, it's not going to work. The family dynamic is at the forefront of this movie. When it comes to Johnny, he's my favorite of the Fantastic Four. Not in this movie in particular, I'm just talking about in general. But I love how they shied away from the usual hot-headed, arrogant playboy hotshot that he is, right, with the ego. Not to say it's not there, because they did use some exposition to kind of say like, okay, Johnny's a playboy, that type of stuff. But the movie didn't call for it, so they didn't force it. Like when a couple of weeks ago, when was it? Like a while ago, when Joseph Quinn was like, he's not going to be like a womanizer. People were like, but this isn't his character. I'm okay with what they did because the plot didn't call for it. So let me get you guys' thoughts on Johnny and Ben Grimm. Zach, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think the Ben Grimm, the Thing, had the short end of the stick the most. Like I found him to be a very lovable presence. I liked the performance a lot, but we didn't get to see too much from his character other than kind of just being like, for lack of a better word, the solid rock of the team. I liked that they were giving him that storyline with that resident, with that girl that was, I think she worked at the school. I couldn't quite. I think some of that storyline got a little bit underdeveloped, but I liked that they were going that way with him. I just didn't feel like they put it all the way through because they just didn't have the runtime for it. I thought Joseph Quinn as the Human Torch was really fascinating because, again, only had Chris Evans to kind of go off of, and Michael B. Jordan from 2015, where this was the first Human Torch Johnny Storm where I felt like they showed his intellectual side. Because in the Tim Story movies, he is supposed to be a pilot, like he is supposed to be a part of the scientific team as well, but they don't really let him do anything scientific. He's just kind of there to be the hot shot party guy, basically. And I thought Joseph Quinn did a really great job of balancing both the one that just wants to have fun, but he's also really smart, and he contributes a lot of the intelligent work to the team as well. The whole subplot he had of deciphering the language that the Silver Surfer spoke and all that, I thought that was absolutely fantastic for his character to have, and I really liked the way that they utilized him. The Thing I hope gets more in the sequels to do, but I really like what Ebon Moss background brought to this film because I just found that he was just so lovable.
Yeah, CGI looked good on him though. I gotta say,
It looked great. Yeah, it looked great.
Yeah, since the early trailers, I was like, okay, I'm all for it. It's super comic accurate. What you were talking about with the love interest that he has, the reason probably why it felt a little underdeveloped is because that was a character that was made for this movie. Like Alicia in the comic books is like a blind character that dates him. That's more of that. I think I was reading something where they were talking about they might have started shying away from that because they didn't want the perception of only a blind person can love somebody like him, that his love can be for anybody. So they kind of made that character from scratch. So that could have been why it felt a little underdeveloped. With Johnny as well, it was just a certain maturity that his character also had in this. And I hope that they continue going forward with it throughout these movies, and the whole dynamic was great. T, your thoughts on Johnny and the Thing?
I thought that they were both fantastic. They had like the big brother, little brother dynamic. There was a lot of scenes where they were like Johnny's just messing with the Thing, and that's what little brothers do, right? That's what I did to my older brother, just mess with him. And yeah, the older brother just like he crushed a little toy because he's like, man, why do you keep doing like little things like that? Just insert us into their world. You didn't need to tell me that they were best friends. You just showed it through their actions, like the dinner scene where he knows that Sue's pregnant. Once again, that's something Like I knew when my wife was pregnant before she told me. Like you just know those things about the people that you care about. I knew that my sister was pregnant before she told me. Like it's little things like that where you don't have to say things. The scene where Reed and Ben Grimm they're in a window and he starts telling them like he can't cook. Like, and it's like little digs like that, like at your best friend that you know like you can't cook. Oh, you failed your driver's lesson, your driver's test. And it's like you don't have to like that helps us understand their relationship. It's not just like a superficial relationship. That's like things that they've experienced together, right? And we got that in this film, especially with Johnny and Ben, because like the scene where Sue comes in there and scares them both. Great scene right there.
Oh, that was
I'm
fire.
not gonna go. You're gonna go. Like I've seen my kids do that. Like, my kids do that all the time. Where it's like I'm not gonna do it. You're gonna do it. It's like, man, you just see the like little things that you see in your family, your family structure and their family structure, and it just works so well. Um, and I wanted a rare. I didn't think that Ben got the short end of the stick. I just think that he didn't have like a huge arc, but at the same time, he was kind of like the person on the ground that everybody could relate to, right? He was always in the neighborhood. He was always,
Mhm.
Yeah.
with the kids, like little
Mhm.
things like that, where you didn't see the other characters out there. Like he was their person. And that meant a lot. That meant a lot to those kids. That meant a lot to Natasha Lyonne's character, where she would just see him. And that's why she invited him. It might have been because she was attracted to him, whether it's physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, but just seeing him out there interacting with the neighborhood, doing thing with the car, like little things like that meant a lot to that world, just not on a grand scale, like solving the language thing that Johnny solved, which was genius, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with both of you guys' points. Solid points, like the on the ground thing as well, like him just being a man of the people. And I think because
Mhm.
this universe is already established, they can do that stuff because we've seen in other iterations of the Fantastic Four where he starts off as, really ashamed of what he has become and can't allow himself to open up to the people. And now the kids love him. That little scene right there definitely felt a lot for his character. So I'm kind of right there with you. I felt like it was solid, not a rock joke or anything like that. But like I said, I felt like he was the foundation of it as well. And like I said, all of them work together because like the biggest thing with this movie is they're trying to tell a story about family at the end of the day, and these people are a family, and that's where Marvel succeeds in my opinion, telling a family story and not just another superhero story. This could have been like an Avengers movie where certain people get more shine than others, like Captain America gets and Iron Man and Thor get a little more shine. But in this one, I feel like everybody had their due, and if you remove one of those pieces, it just feels very incomplete. Um, so we're gonna go ahead and go on to the villain, Silver Surfer. What were you guys' thoughts on her? We'll start with you, T.
Oh, I loved it. I love Charlotte Ball. I loved her arc. I loved how it came full circle and she realized the error of ways. Um, and just one, she had the best scene in the whole movie. That's up there with like Nightcrawler and X2, like that her surfing through the space dust, her surfing through the lava inside
Oh, that was so cool.
That
Galactus's.
was such a
Oh
good
my
scene.
gosh, that was amazing. Because like we saw Rise of Silver Surfer, and he's just kind of like darting through stuff, but like using a surfboard as a surfboard against like some cosmic dust, incredible. Like that might have been one of the not like best looking scenes, but like most thought out. Like, and how do we make this cool? How do we make this cooler than they did in the 2000s movie? And that to me just won me over. Like going into the black hole, they said they took a lot of inspiration from Interstellar, and you could see it, right?
Mhm.
You
Oh
could
yeah.
see a lot of the inspiration from Interstellar, and just her character worked really well. Um, they didn't give her much to do. They didn't give her much to say, but the times that she was on screen, it was very impactful, and I thought she looked terrific. I thought the character looked great, and it just really worked in this movie.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I enjoyed the portrayal that she had of Silver Surfer, and also I think like in comparison to the Rise of Silver Surfer, right? Because storyline is pretty similar.
Yeah.
Um, they gave us exposition in Rise of Silver Surfer. Here, they actually showed us a quick scene of her sacrificing herself, her family, and it was very similar to what Sue was going through as far as having a child and having to do that. And I thought it was a great character and the great turn at the end as well with the subplot with Johnny. Zach, what were your thoughts on the Silver Surfer?
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything that you guys are saying, and I think she was probably like the most pleasant surprise character in the film. I thought that her arc was great. I love you just alluded to it, Ace, the parallel that was going on with Sue and Franklin, and what we find out she had to do to save her world from Galactus. And I loved that there was a sympathetic nature to her when she had to present that message of like, your world is marked, say what you got to say, hang out with who you got to hang out with, love each other, like take this time to celebrate, take this time to be together. Like I really loved that speech. And then when you find out who she actually is, what she actually did, and how she herself is kind of tormented by Galactus by being this herald of his, I think that speech got even better in retrospect to me. And I really hope we get to see her again. I hope they bring this character back because she ain't dead. Her and Galactus,
No.
they ain't. Maybe they're behind a bookshelf. Maybe that's another interstellar thing there. But they ain't dead. So I do think they're coming back, and I'm hoping we get to see more of her. I really do.
Yeah. So speaking of Galactus, the big bad in this movie, the Devourer of Worlds, I couldn't wait for this, especially like after what we saw with the Rise of Silver Surfer. And not just that, right? I also harp back to Green Lantern. It's something with these cosmic beings that they have a hard time grasping, where they think, okay, let's just use gas or a cloud and that'll be good enough. But no, the second that this dude is on screen and he shows up towering over them, eyes light up, I was like, wow, like it has arrived. A comic accurate adaptation of Galactus. And the little things I like what they did in this movie, like how they played with the camera angles, right? Like T was talking about in that, like we'll talk about that scene a little bit when after they meet Galactus and they're trying to escape, right? The camera angles that they chose in this were very creative because to show the scale of Galactus, right? Not only was like my theater rumbling when he was taking every step, but every time he was talking, my theater was rumbling. And the camera work of putting us at a lower angle so that way you can see how massive and grand he is just added to how visually stunning this character was. Now I have seen some people saying like, okay, he hasn't really, he didn't really do as much as I thought he was going to do. But Galactus isn't the character who's going to go fisticuffs with people. He's usually a character that's going to send somebody out to do his bidding or just devour the world. It's as simple as that. I thought it was an amazing job by the voice actor. I can't think of his name off the top, but I put him like as far as villain voiceovers up there with Ultron and Thanos. Like that was a really good portrayal. Zach, we're gonna start with you. What was your take on Galactus?
Well, it's better than a cloud, I'll tell you that much. I did mention before I'm not the comic book reader. I only really know the movies, but my younger brother is. And he watches like all the Marvel. Well, he's younger than me. When he was younger, he watched all the Marvel animated shows and all that kind of stuff. So I've heard about Galactus for a very long time. My brother loves this character, and he has told me that they've got to get him right. They've got to get him right. And so going into the movie with Galactus, I just kind of knew, okay, big giant guy eats planets. That's cool. I'm looking forward to that. What I loved was the threat that he presented because he looms over this movie the entire time. And if you really think about it, you don't see a lot of Galactus in this movie. I mean, he's probably in maybe 20 minutes of the hour, 55-minute runtime, whatever it is. But you always feel him around. Like that threat of him, he's coming. And I do think the movie had a little bit of trouble showing the passage of time in a way that like you fully grasped how long it's been. I mean, the baby has clearly aged since it was born. So I don't quite know, a couple months at least it takes for him to get to Earth, but you feel that impending doom like as soon as they leave that meeting with him. And that's what I love the most about what they achieved is they made Galactus, even though sure he didn't do all that much. He got to Earth, he walked around, maybe he destroyed a building or two and tried to get to a building to get a baby. but he was so threatening, and he was larger than life villain that we were promised, and I thought that they delivered in spades on him. That was one of the things where I was in awe, where I was just like really impressed with what they did.
Yeah. Yeah, I also add on to that. I also love how like it was more than just this evil entity that just wants to devour the earth. They kind of touched base on it that the hunger is the reason that's
Hmm.
driving him. And it was good for the plot that Franklin Richards in the comics is one of the strongest characters in all of comic iterations. So for him to want to transfer that gave that character a driving force to this that I thought worked out well and is very subtle. T, what were your thoughts on the Devourer of Worlds Galactus?
I'm really happy that they actually portrayed him on screen the way that they did. He looked phenomenal. His voice was phenomenal. Like the actor, I think his name is Ralph Ineson. Um, he was great. Um, there wasn't a lot of Galactus in the movie, but then again, I had this conversation with some friends, just like, did you really want to see? Like, they're not gonna fight him. Like, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do against Galactus? Not much. You do all the stretching, and
Get
we saw
get
what that
stretched like
got.
Stretch
That
Armstrong. He almost got ripped in half.
exactly like the whole him coming down there to fight you. Um, that would have just not made any sense, right? If it would have just been like a long battle with him. It's not Thanos. It's not Tony Stark and those guys fighting Thanos. So it made sense. Everything that they did with him made sense. I'm glad they didn't make him into a cartoon character. I'm glad they didn't make him into something like comical, saying like little quips. No, he was very matter of fact, and he was smart enough not to know to step into a big triangle that they were drawing him into. It was like, okay, all right. I've been around for thousands of years. I know a trap when I see a trap. Like,
I love the remark "clever bugs." I love when he called them
exactly.
bugs. That was
Yeah.
great.
Yes.
Yeah,
So yeah,
he was great.
I enjoy. He was. It was a great character. It was not a space cloud. It was a very fleshed out character. No pun intended. No, he has no flesh. He's. I don't know what Galactus is.
Yeah. It was great. Like I said, he was very menacing, very threatening. And let's go ahead and talk about the action sequences because we talked about that one scene a couple of times in here. That scene that we're talking about where after they meet Galactus and she's pregnant, they're trying to escape. I think that's one of the most on the edge of my seat moments, pure exhilaration that I've had in the MCU because this movie, you had high stakes. Don't get it twisted. You had very high stakes, like world-ending stakes, but it also felt very personal to the fact where we're like, "Yo, we're concerned because we feel like a family." That scene was incredible, like very interstellar vibes, like you guys talked about. What did you guys think? Not only of that scene, but also the action sequences. Zach, we'll start with you.
I mean, that scene in particular that you're talking about, the chase scene, was the best part of the movie. That was just absolutely gorgeous to look at. It was thrilling. It was exhilarating, and it was one of those key moments in the film too, where again the whole team just came together. You needed the pilot from Ben. You needed the fighting with Johnny. You needed Sue, or you needed Reed to be with Sue in that moment. And the way that they mapped out that scene, that they just kind of made every single just like piece of the puzzle really fit to make that scene so kinetic and just so memorable too. Like there's not many scenes um I would say in comic book movies this year that I would say are memorable. There's enjoyable, and I had fun with it, but very rare ones would I say are memorable. I'm gonna remember this scene. Like, this was memorable. This was fun. This was thought out. This looked gorgeous, and yeah, I was on the edge of my seat. And I loved the montage at the beginning where you kind of see the Fantastic Four going fighting some foes in their past. I love how they kind of showed us a little bit of that in montage through it. The Galactus battle at the end had me also on the edge of my seat because they did succeed in making you feel like, how are they going to beat this guy? But I loved that this movie was very intellectual. Like, there wasn't that many physical fight sequences and conflicts that happened in this movie. It was very just, intelligent and logical. And I loved that we got to see so much of that from the Fantastic Four. And I think it's kind of rare in a comic book movie to see so much of that, where they didn't really use their fists to figure out the problem. They used their brains, and we got to see them work through the problem with math and science. And I thought that was so cool. I question the idea of moving your planet to another solar system.
Me too.
They kind of fudged you a little bit, where they were like, oh, we found an inhabitable space where we can go. You're still leaving your solar system. And I don't know if I buy into the fact that you'd be okay if you did that. So I found that a little bit funny and a little bit like, I don't know about that one, Reed. You might want to go back to the chalkboard. But I did enjoy all those sequences, and when the action did pop up, I thought it was handled so well. I'm so hoping that they get Matt Shackman to sign up for like so many more deals at like this year alone with Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. I think they need to lock down Jake Schreier, who it sounds like he's going to be going on to do the X-Men, so that's great. They need to lock down Matt Shackman too, because they can't just go back to the Russo brothers every time. They need to find new talent and new Russo brothers. And just this year alone, Matt Shackman and Jake Schreier, they're two of your new Russo brothers. I hope Marvel continues with them, because they've just delivered such amazing experiences in Marvel this year.
Nice. Like you were talking about, this movie isn't super action packed, but it's still very entertaining. So that leads to my question to T, who has seen it multiple times. Not only do I want to know what your thoughts on the action are and that one scene that we talked about, but do you feel like this movie is rewatchable? Does it have rewatchability?
I think so. It really depends on who you are as a moviegoer. If you're in it for the big MCU action set pieces, then you're probably not going to enjoy this movie as much as you want to, because it's not that. Like one scene in particular where Johnny Storm chases Silver Surfer. In the Fox verse, he would have tried to fight the Silver Surfer, or the Silver Surfer would try to fight him. They were both coming from logical perspectives. I want to figure out why you're here. I want to figure out what you want and how we can appease you without losing our planet. Like everything wasn't complete fisticuffs. Every time Johnny flamed on, he didn't go to fight somebody. He was going to either scout, or he was going to figure out ways to defeat the enemy without having to result in violence, right? Which is not what you pay the MCU for, right? You're there to see good guys beat up the bad guys, right? That's the nature of comic books, right? See the good guy prevail over evil. And we didn't get it that much in this movie, because I mean, for the most part, like you think of Galactus as a villain, but is he really a villain? Like he's trying. He has a hunger. He has to feed. The Silver Surfer found him a planet, right? It was all very logical what they were doing. Unfortunately, all of those people would have died. like there are billions of deaths that come from it, but like he didn't have like a maniacal reason. I picked Earth because, a billion years ago, these people thwarted me, kind of like Thanos, right? Everything he did was logical too, but at the same time, he was extremely villainous. But with it all worked for me. And rewatchability, I would love to go see it a third time. I didn't see it in IMAX. I saw it in Screen X. I saw it in a like a regular theater. So I would love to see it in IMAX, to see Galactus on a super huge screen.
So that's 4 hours for you. So technically, if you combine the time, that's more than your 3-hour threshold. So you must really love this
That's
movie.
true.
We didn't get your take on the action in that scene. What did you think about the action sequences?
I mean, they were fine. Once again, I just always thought that the Fantastic Four had a lame power set. Like other than Johnny Storm, right? Thing punches things. Reed Richards stretches. Lame.
Oh, Sue is OP
Sue
though.
Storm.
Okay. In this movie,
she forces things with her hands. Like
it's not just that though. It's the light manipulation. It's all that. I mean, but she went off though. Yeah, she's powerful. Yeah.
No, she is like she would be what they would call Omega level. Like her powers haven't even been, like they barely scratched the surface what her power set truly is. But if you look at it, it looks lame. Like it all looks
Mhm.
lame on the big screen, other than Johnny Storm flying around and being lit on fire. Like they have a very lame power set.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie though. I was as Sue was going off, I was like, please don't do the nosebleed thing that they did in the first Fantastic Four. I was like, I was locked into that. I was like, don't do it. Like, don't have her be the damsel in distress. Like, and they didn't as far as the most part. So I like that. Go ahead,
I
T.
mean,
What you
that
gonna say?
does happen when like when you could like it was a huge strain on her. So like
When
a
you're
nosebleed,
overexerting. Hmm.
I could yeah, I could understand. I could understand it. Not to the point where it's like oozing out, but like I could understand
Yeah.
It's
if they
cliche, but
did
it
that.
wouldn't bother me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is cliche, but at the same time, like look at the amount of things, like how much power she's exerting. It would make sense in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. So Zach said things that bother him. So we're gonna go ahead and transition over to that one. Before we get out of here, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe to Zach Milne and Have You Seen That with T. Their channels will be linked down in the description below. So we're gonna end it on these two things that you
Are we
guys didn't enjoy. Go ahead.
are we gonna be able to hit the post credit scene?
Yes, I was gonna say we're gonna end on
Okay.
that because I don't want to end on a bad note. So you know what I'm saying? Like what we didn't like about this movie and then end it. So we're gonna talk about what we didn't like and then we're gonna talk about the post credit scene. All
All
right,
right.
so Zach, let's start with you. What didn't you well, I know none of us didn't like anything, but what, either bothered you or kind of just like in this movie.
Yeah, I love it when this section is so minor. Because
Hmm.
like it's kind of similar to Thunderbolts, where this a flawless movie? No, but I just kind of sat and really enjoyed it. Again, I think that the passage of time wasn't entirely clear all the time. I would have liked to have known exactly how long they were waiting for. I just feel like it would have added a little bit more to the suspense and the dread. Um, the baby, the the CGI baby was a lot of the time distracting, and I kind of prefer that now that we have the technology and stuff, just put in a CGI baby as opposed to just like a young baby who's against its will being thrown into the entertainment business by being in a movie. I've never really sat that well with that idea, so if you can replace it with CGI at this point, I'm all for that. But it was distracting, and it's not that it didn't look great, it was just uncanny. You can tell it's not a real baby, and it does take me out of the movie a little bit. And yeah, just, runtime wise, I would have loved to see more of the world, the subterranean world with Paul Walter Hauser as the mole man. I would have loved to been able to go a little bit more into that, but obviously story wise, they weren't able to. So that's a negative and a positive that I want to see more, and I didn't get to see more. That fares well for them. And yeah, just I think that's I can't remember exactly what I said in my review at the time, but I think that's pretty much it. I do think that it can move too quick at times. Some of the scenes I wish got to breathe a little bit longer, but overall, I walked out of there and I was just like, I really enjoyed that. I didn't really rub up against anything too negative, so I was very very pleasantly surprised by that.
Yeah, like you were saying with the CGI baby, that's one of the issues I had too, especially with like you're seeing a CGI Ben Grimm hold on to a CGI baby,
And they
and it's like you
almost
can tell
always
where they
have
put.
him holding the CGI baby. It's very
Hmm.
rare that the CGI baby goes to a real element. It's always the CGI Ben
Yeah,
Grimm who's holding the CGI baby, which again helped me recognize it a bit more.
and you can tell where the budget went to. The budget went to Ben Grimm, not the CGI baby.
Oh yeah.
Um, I didn't have a lot that I didn't like about this movie. That was one of them. I would have liked to see a little backstory, with Galactus, just a tad bit, a quick scene that could have gave us a little behind the scenes. That would have been nice as well. Um, Also, like and this might infuriate T with the power set. I would have liked to see more of that on screen because even with that chase, we didn't have to see their powers on display too much outside of that end fight scene. I'm not saying
Mhm.
you got to be like in 2000 where Reed is stretching for some toilet paper, but I would have liked to see a little more of their abilities because I do enjoy it. But maybe we'll see that in the future movies. It didn't really bother me, but it kind of made me think a little bit. T, is there anything that you didn't like about this movie?
So you guys kept mentioning CGI baby. I'll be totally honest. The first time I watched it, I didn't even know the baby was CGI. It was only when the baby was born. It was the
That's
hand.
impressive.
The hand looked like purple. Uh, I was just like, I mean, Ben Grimm holding the baby. I was like, I know that that's not real, but I assumed that they just like shot a baby sitting there making baby faces. I don't know. I don't
You
know how
didn't
to. I
notice
don't
at
know.
the end when he passes it to after Sue dies, or she actually did die, but after Sue dies, when Ben passes it to Pedro Pascal, it almost like goes through his hand, like the placement of the baby when he was.
I don't.
It
I
wasn't
don't.
fully right.
I don't pixel people like that. Like
No.
there are a lot of things that people see in movies that I just don't because I'm not looking. I'm not looking specifically at the baby, like looking at the hand. I didn't notice that. I would
That's
You
have
go the
fair.
like
third time, you might pay
until
attention.
people. No, the second time I did pay attention and I noticed a
Oh no,
little
now that
more.
he
But
said it,
like,
you go the third time, you might be looking for it now. So
yeah, but
hmm
like that's like I'm telling you, like if you didn't if people didn't say it, I would not have known it because
hmm
I'm it may be because I wasn't wearing my glasses while I was watching it because I was had the 3D glasses on. Maybe that's
Mm.
why I didn't see it. But like, I mean, it's all green screen. There was a lot of green screen in the movie, but it just it doesn't. It's a comic book movie. Like it's never
yeah, of
gonna.
course.
It's completely out of realism. But the only thing I didn't like was just the CGI baby hand. Like once I saw that hand, I was like, oh shit, they had an alien baby because it looked like
Is
green and purple.
is
Like
is
that
that
was
because you saw it in 3D and it was coming at you and you were just all scared of it?
it might have been because when that baby hand came, I was like, oh. And like when they initially pulled the baby, I was like, all right, I know that they're not going to use a real baby
Yeah.
for like with the birthing fluid and all that stuff. But other than that, I really did think that they used a real baby.
Yeah.
Like people kept mentioning, I was like, man, maybe I'm oblivious to things like that. But when Ben Grimm was holding, I was like, that looks fake because it's a
Yeah.
rock. It's a rock person. There's no way that that's
Yeah.
real.
Maybe it's
There have
because
been
I've been
worse
around
babies.
my baby all the time that I was
Mhm.
able to recognize. Oh, that ain't a real baby.
Yeah.
That's not what they
Touche.
look like.
And there have been worse babies on screen. The Flash movie, Twilight, you know what I'm saying? They've had definitely worse babies
Son of the
than this one.
Mask.
Yeah, that one too. So, all right, so we're gonna go ahead and end this off with the end credit scene. Like we talked about earlier, there are two. The second end credit scene was just more of a tribute to Jack Kirby, which I thought was fine. It was
It's
great.
cute.
You know what I'm saying? Definitely, yeah, definitely worth staying for because it's good to see. Just paying homage to a great man that these comics wouldn't be here without him. So paying homage to that, great. But the mid credit scene, this was the scene that I felt like the MCU of old. This was one of the best mid credit scenes, I should say, that I think we've not only had in a long time, but we've had because it started laying the groundwork to what's next. Marvel, as of late, with the Thunderbolts and this one, I feel like are back to the let's go ahead and set up the next movie and build excitement for the next movie. For those that don't know, Doctor Doom does show up. Doctor Doom shows up in Franklin's nursery, whether you want to say whatever theories you have. He's playing with the mask, cuts to black, looks amazing. We don't get to see Doctor Doom's face, which is a tease, and I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on that after I get you guys' thoughts. But what were you guys' thoughts on the end credit scene? T, we'll start with you.
It happened. Like I don't like everybody's like been all hype about these end credit scenes. They've been really lame to me. I'll be totally honest. The Thunderbolt scene, oh my god, so the Russo brothers director it was a ship flying in. Like they told a few jokes. I get it that they're setting up for the next thing, but what if they aren't, right? Like we've been here. I've been hurt too many times, right? What if they aren't, right? Like it's an end credit scene. It pushes it, quote unquote, pushes the story forward, but it didn't. It's just Doctor Doom standing there being creepy. Everybody in the theater gasped. I was just like, all right, that's lame. Like if I would have saw Robert Downey Jr.'s face, if he would have said something to Sue, then I might have been impressed. But like just seeing the back of the hood and seeing the mask that looks terrible. We're talking like the mask looked like something that the mask looked terrible. That I did notice. I did notice the mask looked really terrible. Yeah, I wasn't impressed. I mean, we know we're getting Doomsday. We know that that's coming next. You could have did more than that.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I was excited for it. T, not so much. Zach, what about you? What did you think of the end credit scene?
Toxic
mid-credit
T,
scene, I should
everybody,
say.
you gotta love it. You gotta
Mhm.
love Toxic T. Look, I was excited. I did enjoy it. If I didn't know who Doctor Doom was, I'd be very curious to talk to someone who didn't know Doctor Doom and didn't know Doctor Doom was coming, because it'd be like, who's the guy under the green blanket? Like there wasn't
Exactly.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't much to it. I mean, it does make me think like the Thunderbolts post-credit scene is either Doctor Doom escaping into the MCU with Franklin, or he's already gotten Franklin, and that's why the Fantastic Four are coming, is to find Franklin. That's what I assume they're leading towards in Doomsday. But I couldn't help my eye just went to that mask, and I was like, they're already setting us up. He's holding the mask. They're gonna show Downey's face, because Downey, you don't pay that amount of money for Downey, and you don't show Downey's face. So they were already preparing you, like, hey, this Doctor Doom, he's gonna be doing this a lot. All right, prepare yourself. He's gonna be holding his mask in his hand more than he's gonna be wearing it on his face. That's the takeaway I got from watching that post credit scene. But it is still exciting. It does still, like, Doomsday is happening. It's real. They're shooting it, and it's very exciting. It's still got me excited, but it was a little goofy. Let's not lie. It was a little bit goofy the way it was staged, the way he was standing there hunched over, kind of looking like the evil queen after she'd taken the
Creepy.
apple to Snow White. Like it was a little bit. If I had seen Downey, I would have jumped out of my chair. This just had me kind of sit up, going, "Oh, all right, so we're moving forward. That's cool."
Nice. I'm the opposite. Like I said, because I'm just such a huge Fantastic Four fan. I'm gonna tell you this, and we'll end it on this. Before I get you guys' final thoughts, right? I okay with not seeing Robert Downey Jr. right, because in my mind, Robert Downey Jr. I understand that making the announcement for him was a marketing thing at the end of the day. He's a big deal. It's the shock and awe of it. But I wish that they didn't show him at all, like because Fantastic Four and the MCU were gonna sell regardless. I personally wish that they would have had the chair ceremony at the end instead of Robert Downey Jr. You just have Dr. Doom come out in a mask or whatever. That's it, right? You show us this scene right here where you don't see his face, and everybody's wondering, who is it? Who's it going to be? And it doesn't get revealed until Doomsday, like a scene where they're fighting an epic fight scene and the Avengers knock off his mask. You know how it's going to be. Turns around to the camera, no mask, and it's RDJ.
Yeah.
That would have blown me away for real. Like, I still get mad at Thor Ragnarok for revealing the Hulk scene in that. I could just imagine the level of that would have been the shock and awe that it would have induced by seeing Robert Downey Jr. on screen for the first time. T, you want to say something?
I would say Marvel can't afford to do that. Like that's kind of the world that, like that's the reality they're in now. They did that to get people excited, and it got people excited. It for the most part, I think people are more excited about Fantastic Four because they know that Doom is such a big part of that of the group, right? He is their biggest villain. Which was kind of disappointing. I thought, they had the little scene where the Latveria chair was empty.
It was empty.
He was always missing. Yeah.
That made me that upset me a little bit. That might have been one of the things that upset me just a little bit. It's like, come on, man. Like, I get it. It was a little wink, nudge, nudge, but like he could have at some point made himself, even if it was just a voice at some point in the movie. Like, I'm not gonna turn my lights out at 8:00. Like another plot point. The whole world turning their lights out at 8:00. We couldn't even put on masks.
No, that wouldn't happen.
Like,
different world, man. Maybe they're more accommodating to each other.
That's what you got to say. It's a whole.
That's the thing about the movie, right? Is it has that crutch. It can just say, different world, different from yours, different from the MCU.
Yeah, transporting.
You're right.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that'll definitely work on a bigger scale in the short amount of time that they put that shit together. Like, all the world's gonna come together. Like,
Reed. The world trusted Reed. Like that shows that the world truly trusted Reed because they were willing to. Hey, we're gonna go to how does gravity work out there? I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Or
we might all turn
oxygen?
into superhumans.
Yeah.
Like, you might have a red sun and they all turn into Superman. Like, who knows?
You just never know. But yeah, so that's gonna wrap things up, guys. I do appreciate you guys for your time as always. Let's tell the people where they can find you at, Zach, and tell them what you got going on. Zach, we'll start with you.
Yeah, you can find me over at Zach Milne Talks Movies. I do movie reviews. I do a lot of rankings recently because I'm stuck at home a lot of the time now. So I'm just trying to make content where I can make content. And on Tuesday, I'm doing a ranking video. When does this come out? I guess I should.
I'll probably have it out maybe Monday or Tuesday.
Monday. Okay, yeah. So either tomorrow or today, whenever you're watching this on Tuesday, I will put out a ranking video of the 3 Marvel movies we got this year from worst to best. So that's what's coming up on the channel. Reviews still coming out when I can do them. And yeah, it's a fun time. Great community over there. Thank you so much, Ace, for having me. And yeah, it's been an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. T, tell them where they can find you at. What you got going on?
You could find me at the Have You Seen That With T YouTube channel. You could very rarely find me there, but you could really find me every Wednesday night at the Island of Relevancy, where I'm talking more WWE stuff. I have to get the time to start doing more movie reviews because it is very time consuming. A lot of times I have an hour. I'd much rather talk to you guys than sit there and edit a video, but I do my WWE content every single week. Wednesday nights with Frank, who is somehow missing. He is the invisible man right now. He's here in spiritual form and just not physical form. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yeah. And as far as me, you guys know you can find me at here on the Ace Avenue for your sports, movies, and more. Yeah, working on some stuff. The Yankee season's keeping me pretty busy. Definitely going to see Fantastic Four again, and I will be working on editing this and dropping it for everybody. Guys, I appreciate you guys. You guys are the best. Until next time, guys, we're out of here. As always, thank you for tuning into the Ace Avenue. I'm yours truly, the Ace, with Zach and T. Adios.